you actually found something that you really like called Tower Garden, which you wanted to share with the people listening today. So
Yeah,
can you share what this actually is and why you like it so much and why you thought it was worth sharing?
yeah. So I know we did the thing on sustainability, and I've been looking at how to be a little bit sustainable and keep the sustainability thing going. And it wasn't the Tower Garden per se, but it was one similar. And basically, what it is, it's a bucket of water in the bottom, right, with a tower with that you plant stuff in, and the water, which has nutrients in it, comes up to the top and then comes down. So it's a, they call it, I think they call it, actually call it aeroponics. So it's a version of hydroponics, and the roots are sitting in air and water as it rains down. So it's very water efficient. It's very efficient at growing produce, lettuce, whatever it is, and you this thing you could sit this in your backyard on your back deck and grow 40 different plants. You know, you could have lettuces and growing and tomatoes. But one of the things that I saw, a woman had, all the bottom ones were like tomatoes and they were growing up. And then she had ones with beans and another tower that was all different types of lettuce and another one that was all herbs and that sort of stuff. So with this sort of technology that's out there now, there is really no barrier for you for actually growing food at home. And the one that I've got here is Tower Garden. It says grow 30% more, 3 times faster with 98% less water. And water is one of the biggest killers, as we all know, but so is the physical footprint of growing this food. So if you have a look at these towers, and I think you put the link up there, didn't you? So
Yeah.
you can grow a lot more food in a super small footprint. Say one sort of square meter, because you're going up, you can grow a lot. What I forget what the ratio is. I can't find it on here, but pretty much it's like 1 square meter of one of these towers would be something like 8 to 1, 10 to 1, 12 to 1. So you're saving yourself a lot, So instead of having a 10 square meter flower bed or garden bed that you're growing stuff in, which is a lot of resource to build that sort of stuff, you're now growing it in a smaller thing and getting a better yield and getting a cleaner product, and it's easier to keep pests off it because you can drape a net over it easier and all this sort of stuff. So it's absolutely fantastic, this type of stuff, and you can link them together and you can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. I suppose your imagination's really open. But when I found this, I thought, we're going to start. I've got to tell people about this, and away we go, because it's definitely something to have a look at, and definitely something to that. That is, everyone should be doing it. So they're very insistent. And if you have a look on YouTube and that sort of stuff, and I've got a bit addicted to YouTube and looking at sustainability videos lately. That man, there's some really smart people out there doing some really, really smart stuff. And if you're looking to create your own little market garden, you can do it in a residential block now. There was one video I saw where a girl, well, I shouldn't say girl, a woman in her 40s, living in an apartment, was growing this sort of stuff on her balcony. So there's really, when you think about it, there's no barriers now for not having a sustainable produce system. So,
and that'd be really good for people living in places which may not be a farm or anything, but more just a smaller place. So they really
and with the tiny home movement, this fits in with that.
Efficient, but also space efficient.
Yeah. If you have God, my memory's really bad tonight. If you have, like, we're going down the tiny home route, and this is pretty much what sparked my big interest into this, is the ability to be able to create a tiny home, create your own food, and do it all on 100 square meters, right? And that will be that. Imagine that. So you're a couple, you're semi-retired, retired, or you're a young couple, got a job, but you don't want a big house and all that sort of stuff. So you've got a 100 square meter block of land, got your tiny home on it, you've got your little swimming pool, you've got your own food system, for vegetables and that sort of stuff. I've even seen people with chickens and stuff in these little, they call them chicken caravans, and they're tiny, but they can move them around on grass, and the chickens live inside the caravan, and they've got all the water and feed and everything that they want in there, and they lay eggs in the caravan and that sort of stuff. There is a lot that can be done, but it's the education and making it that this can be done. So watch this space. I'd like to do. I'd like to show people when I've got my one set up, and as a demo one, to do a really good walkthrough and have people come and stay at it, and spend a couple of nights in it. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a really interesting space. I mean, I've never really looked into it much, but ever since I've heard you speak about the tiny homes, I can see like that's really good. And especially when you add it with stuff like this, where you're also saving space growing flowers and stuff like that, it's a really cool niche, I would say.
Yeah.
So, and especially with cost of living going up too, it's just also an affordable option, in my opinion.
What's that, mate?
I also just think with cost of living going up, it's also a financial efficient decision to doing this type of path for people who are into it.
Yeah. You're still breaking up a bit, but look, this is, and I think this is going to become more and more needed as we go forward, because the restrictions on certain things will come in play. So, for instance, I don't know, I'm just going to throw it out there. Say, for instance, chilies, right? All of a sudden, you mightn't be able to get chilies because they deem, capsaicin, which is the thing in chili, to be illegal. It's like, grow them in your backyard, right? The access to certain stuff, which again leads into one of the things that we're talking about. One of the questions that come in from one of the viewers was the smaller cities where they're saying that you've got to be inside a little sort of radius, right? And if you've got to live inside that radius, well, maybe you won't be able to get access to other stuff that comes from further afield. So this sort of technology will allow you to grow it yourself. But this sort of education and this sort of knowledge will be restricted. And I believe that, and we did see it. China is another interesting one. Germany did it. Argentina's done it. All through their history, Cuba did it. Venezuela's doing it. Pol Pot, all those sort of dictators and all that sort of stuff. They restrict knowledge and history, right? Actually, the current leaders are doing it. They're letting academia do it itself. I saw the other day that Roald Dahl, who's been dead and all that sort of stuff. Well, his works have all been rewritten, like Dr. Seuss and all that sort of stuff, to make it less offensive. Well, why can you do that? That's not his original work, right? So kids growing up that are going to have no choice about to read a doctored version of Dr. Seuss, right, rather than the original version. So what's to say they're not going to do that? And they won't, and I'm nearly sure they will, about gardening and about hydroponics and about, you know, fixing your own car, changing a tyre, all this sort of stuff. They'll just weed out of society to make people useless, pretty much.
Hmm.